read the electromagnetic fields, man-made electromagnetic fields in the house. This has to do with electricity. Anything that's running through electric wires in the house, the control panel, any kind of electric circuitry. We check always where you sleep, where you spend a lot of time, because we want to be in a low field. This is not a harmonious energy with our own energy field, so we want to make sure that we're not in a high energy field, because over time it will impact our health.
Now, what can you do with, we have computers and cell phones and TVs, and I mean, you know, the list is endless. It seems like everything's electronic. What do you do with all of that?
Well, at night, shutting down everything or as much as possible is great, just to lower the fields as much as possible. The great thing about electromagnetic fields is they may be really high when you're right up against them, but they drop off rapidly. So as long as you're not sleeping with your head right next to the computer or your alarm clock that's plugged into the wall right next to your head, just move those things farther away from you. That's great. If there are high fields because of a panel box, I have a really good environmental electrician that you can call in, and he can work with you to shield those wires, or you can put a circuit breaker in your room, and at night you just put the flick the switch, and your whole bedroom is just going to be silent. You're not going to have any field in your bedroom.
What can you do about electromagnetic that's outside? Radio waves and cell towers and all of that. There's certainly a lot in this area. Is there anything you can do to shield that?
There are a lot of devices on the market for personal protection. You can wear sacred geometric patterns on yourself, like pendants. Staying as far away from them as possible is great. You know, we are bombarded. So as much as you can do to stay healthy by drinking pure water, eating great food, getting good rest and exercise, ridding yourself of any negative thoughts that you have, all of that's going to help. Because
it sounds very holistic.
Yeah, it's a holistic practice. I mean, that's what I love about Feng Shui, is people call me in and they say, okay, fix this. And I go, okay, you want a new relationship? Well, let's talk about what relationship means to you. It's really, how are the relationships in your life? It is about, this is one area of your life, but you have to look at your whole life so that you can be balanced.
Well, it's so fascinating. I know that you teach some classes at Sky Hill here in Petaluma, and for a beginner, what do you start with? Because it looks like it can be so deep. I mean, this is just the surface that you're tapping into. So what would be a preliminary thing?
It's great. I mean, there's so many books out there, and that can get confusing because there's different schools of thought. So you can read one book that talks about compass directions and another book that talks about a different way of looking at Feng Shui, and you may get confused.
Kimberly, why is that? Were there different individuals that had different beliefs, so it's called the same thing, but it comes from a different point?
Well, it's actually two sides of the same coin. I mean, form school or compass school is about looking at the land formations and how we sit in relationship to our environment. And that has to do with the environment and the physical world, actually the earth, working with the earth. Compass has to do with the astrology and cosmology and working with times and cycles of time. So you're working with both, but sometimes they get separated. So some books will only talk about classical compass based on form, and others will talk about just form. So it can be confusing, and sometimes it seems like you're getting contradictory information. You're not. You're just getting another aspect of it or another layer of it. So for beginners, it's good to find an intro class, just a couple of hours, and get some basics. Learn how to work with the bagua, or that 8-house diagram, lay it on your floor plan, and start working with your own environment. And really, it's always about, even when I give recommendations to my clients, it's always about, how does this feel for you? Because it's your experience, and it has to feel right. If it doesn't feel right, it's not good Feng Shui for you.
So when a person, as a consultant, when a person calls you, is there anything in particular, or it's really everywhere you go, it's a new experience?
It is. I mean, every person is unique, every set of circumstances is unique, and every home is unique. So it's always fresh. That's what I love about this work. It's always new. even though I'm working with these ancient principles, I'm always working with someone new, and how they're living in their environment and what they need and the challenges that they have are going to present a certain set of circumstances.
Do pets impact Feng Shui at all? Like a doggy door or... I mean,
where's your doggy door?
Yeah, it's in the wrong spot.
No, I mean, it's like anything. Animals can be great energy, and they can also be not so good energy. It depends on if you have neighbors that have dogs that bark all the time. That may be impacting you in a negative way. If you live at a very large house and you don't have animals, it would be great to bring some animals in, because they're going to help fill the energy in the house. You're not going to have to use all of your energy to fill that space. So they could be really good energy as well.
Do you work with aquariums? I mean, is that part of water? I mean, would you bring, I mean, I know you said about plants, would you bring animals into the environment?
Yeah, definitely. Would bring in animals. And water, I mean, we'd love to bring water in. We love to have natural water in. We want to make sure it's moving, and aquariums are great. I mean, it's a great way to activate an area, is to bring in some water, if that's what's called for. And it's movement, and it's chi, and that's always good.
So there's not a typical thing that most people ask for. They'll just say, like you said before, just could you come and help fix this? Something doesn't feel right. And then you get to the bottom of what that is. So actually, not only do you help fix it, you also educate them.
It is a lot of education, and I can't do it. I mean, I can help them figure out what's not working in their space, and I can help them with recommendations, but they need to take the steps so that they can achieve that change for themselves. That's what I love about my work, is I don't like to just go in one time and say, okay, this is what you're telling me that's not working, move this, paint this, and never come back. I like to work with my clients on an ongoing basis so that they have someone that's helping them move through this list, because as they start moving the energy in their house, other things are going to come up. It's like if you've ever taken a workshop and you come home and your husband goes, oh, what happened to the person that went to the workshop? I like her better. You have new ideas, and I don't know about this. And that's how it is when we start working with our environment. We're shifting the relationship with our environment. And so that's...
It's very organic.
It is. And sometimes people will call me in for, well, I want to work on relationship, and actually we start working there, but their career changes, because that's what needed to move. So when you're working with energy, it's magic and a surprise, because we'll be working with intention, but sometimes the client may not know exactly what they need to shift. They just they know that something needs to shift. And so they think it might be one area of their life when in fact it's something else. And it's really beautiful to see that happen, because they get these incredible ahas for themselves.
Now, I know that you mentioned that you work with intention. Would you say that that's what sets you apart from others that do this work?
That's part of it. Definitely getting people clear on their intention for themselves and visioning for their life. I think what sets me apart also is that I really want to create a container for them to actually do this work. It's process-oriented work, and I like to be there for them. So I set my work up in a way that I can work with them on an ongoing basis, not just come in one time, give them a set of recommendations, and then never speak to them again. So I think that's what sets me apart, is that I like to be there, holding them accountable for what they really want to bring in for themselves, and working with them ongoing, so that they don't feel overwhelmed. Because my experience in the past is, if I just had a client one time and I checked in with them a month later, they're like, oh, the list, I didn't get to it and I got busy, and they lost track of what they really wanted to change or what they really wanted to bring in. So I find working with people on an ongoing basis is really what's going to support them.
And I suppose that as their life changes, then it just would be natural that you would also work on the environment, like a new baby coming into the house, or now parents are coming to live with you. It just seems that it would be a natural progression that you would want to, since nobody stays stagnant, that you'd certainly